What's up, you guys? It's your boy Tundra here, aka King Tundra, and I'm back at it with another video. And you guys have clicked on the video because you guys wanted to know the dark truth. But not only that, it was voted by you guys in a community poll. Now, to understand the video, you will have to watch the whole thing to truly understand. And I'm so confident about the video that Undead Labs themselves wouldn't be able to disagree with me. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and also I have a like goal of 50 likes as I worked extremely hard on this video. So if you enjoy it, then let's reach that 50 like goal, as it also helps in the YouTube algorithm. Now, let's get started on the video.
That everybody stays calm at the current moment, for there is a zombie apocalypse currently happening on the West Coast. Do stay inside, and do not go out under any circumstances. If any zombies happen to get into your house, shoot them in the head or remove the head from the brain. We insist, do not leave your houses. Thank you very much for your cooperation.
Now, we have to talk about the devs, as they said two things that stood out to me in their live, which was red talent wasn't present during the start of the outbreak. Now, they didn't say which outbreak because there's two, the black fever virus and the blood plague. However, either way, they was right. Trust me, I tried to debunk them, but they was correct. Now, keep this in mind. Number two, it didn't start in Trumble Valley. Now, this is also true. The blood plague didn't start in Trumble Valley. Also, keep this in mind. And three, Trumble Valley isn't ground zero. Now, this one is 50-50 because compared to other maps, it is, but we know it didn't start in Trumble Valley, so this is 50-50. Now, to understand all this, we gotta talk about State of Decay Black Fever virus and how it came about. So, with Left 4 Dead having so many games paying tribute to the franchise, like literally the most popular zombie game of all time is Left 4 Dead 2. Don't come at me in the comments, guys. It's there, like the ratings and everything. It's there. So don't come at me in the comments. And on top of that, it's still being played by over 30 or 50,000 people to this day. It's hard to debate that. And paying tribute is something undeadlabs has done as well. They even have a Left 4 Dead trait you can get for a survivor. And trust me, this isn't the only game to pay tribute, but also they name their zombies after what they do, which is popular by the Left 4 Dead franchise. And also, State of Decay Black Fever virus is Left 4 Dead's green flu virus. Like, it's there, you guys. I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, we know from Left 4 Dead's green flu virus that it took 2 weeks after, the virus started for things to go bad. After the outbreak, the zombies and the special effect that had all started coming about maybe even within 2 weeks after it all went down. And in State of Decay, it seems to have happened within 2 weeks or maybe even a week. A good way for us to know this is by looking at State of Decay 1, as we know Ed, Marcus, and Maya have no clue about what is going on. They are new to everything that is happening, and they seem to be on a camping trip. Well, Ed and Marcus, and maybe Maya too, but for Ed and Marcus, they had to have already met people at the ranger station before camping. And I'ma just say Maya too also had to have met the rangers at the station, so we know that the three had no clue about anything happening on the outside until they ran into some zombies and seen the station and helped Maya, who also ran into zombies. This was the start for Trumble Valley. But again, the devs had already said that the outbreak was happening all over, and also red talon isn't present yet. So Trumble Valley isn't ground zero just made its way to Trumble Valley, which is why our main three don't have a clue about what's going on. However, the group at the church already knew to stay out of sight and don't drive around and don't make noise. They knew about the freaks as well, so it does seem to have been around 3 to 4 days for them to know this, and enough time for Ed, Marcus, and Maya to know. Another big indicator is the crashed plane, as it seems to have been burning for days as well. Now, let's talk about CLEO, as CLEO also helps us by realizing that according to ISB, that the CLEO satellite was already placed up into orbit way before all of this had planned out. And we know from Twain, when everything turned to crap, that the government went into hiding. So we know the government knew about this and planned for it, and CLEO was to help, as CLEO will be able to aid the military and Red Talon with endless supply drops. In fact, you can even see on State of Decay 1 and 2 where they made their base to put bombs and drops from CLEO, even CLEO memory core. But remember, Red Talon isn't there yet because this isn't ground zero. But you want to know when it became ground zero? Well, it all had to do with the plane. Now, let's talk about the plane. In State of Decay 1, I noticed the plane back when State of Decay 1 first released. I always thought it was cool and didn't think too much of it. And on State of Decay 2, the plane is no longer burning, showing it could have been months by now. And I look and search, but notice that the crate from the first is there also, but I continued to search and search the crate and moved on like always. But when I made my new community on State of Decay 2, after searching for the, looking at the crate, I noticed something with some characters that kept popping up, and their trait was known as plane crash survivor. So I decided to get a plane crash survivor and go check out the plane, and nothing. I thought I would get a dialogue, but nothing. And then I went by the crate, and boom, I get a dialogue where my character says this.
Yeah, I remember Dantron Industries. You were up to all kinds of weird shit.
Yes, my character said Dantron Industry. And even when I went to do more research, I came across YouTuber Ghost, who has plane crash survivors audios, and they were talking about how it seems like something or someone was trying to escape. Another said there were scratches on the inside. So based off of what my character dialogue was, and from some of the audio that you guys can go check out on Ghost's channels, it seems like we are now starting to understand a little bit more about what's going on. This is where we now talk about the Blood Plague and how Trumble Valley became ground zero. Remember when I said the devs said Trumble Valley wasn't ground zero and Red Talon wasn't there during the initial outbreak? Well, they wasn't. In fact, we now know because of my character dialogue that the crate came from Dantron Industries, which means the Blood Plague indeed started somewhere else, but was brought to Trumble Valley by accident. Now, this is where Red Talon comes into play, because you see, Red Talon was basically there during the outbreak for the Blood Plague, which is why in State of Decay 1 they are not there. They are dealing with other things, but in State of Decay 2 you see them, and you see they actually have a base of operations. And that is simply because of the fact that Red Talon were hired by the government to do some population control, and basically their job was to make sure no one can get into Fairfield and no one can leave Fairfield. They were also responsible for rounding up survivors and taking them up to the biolab. And you start to see that while you are talking to Chavez will actually tell you that he's feeling regretful for what he's done. And that was Red Talon's job. That's why they were there in Trumble Valley. That's why they only have a base of operation in Trumble Valley and nowhere else. Because their job was to do that. Round up the people and make sure no one gets in or out. Fairfield was a testing site to test for the plague. Because of my character dialogue, we know Dantron Industry is responsible for shipping this plague zombie inside the crate, but it don't explain how the blood plague was created. In fact, we don't even know where Dantron Industry is. We know from my character dialogue that they are always doing shady things, which reminds me of the Umbrella Corporation from Resident Evil. But what if Dantron Industry was responsible for creating the blood plague? Now, hold up a second, hear me out, and let me cook. What if, like the Umbrella Corporation that created the T-Virus, what if in the State of Decay universe, Dantron Industries created the blood plague? I mean, it's not the craziest thing to hear, but it could be possible that this is where the virus came from. Well, maybe not the virus, but the blood plague. Because we know that the black fever virus was already an outbreak. But what if this was already planned by the government? We know from Twain that the government went into hiding after all this went down, and most likely because they could no longer contain or control what was happening. And we know from Isby that CLEO was already made in place months before all of this even went down. So what if the government was working with Dantron Industries to create this project and everything went to crap, forcing them to run and hide? But what about the plague hearts? How did they come about? This is where I begin to blow y'all's minds. We know throughout history there have been diseases in games and movies also, but one thing they have in common is a high fever. And that's the black fever virus. You see, military was rounding up the best scientists they can find, which included my baby Teresi. I never know how to pronounce her name. Don't judge me. Alright. But we know from her audio that they were rounding up and gathering the best scientists that they can find. Just listen to this.
Back when the world fell apart, the military rolled through, sweeping up anyone with scientific training. They even wanted folks working on their master's degrees in molecular plant sciences. I was right here, doing my field research.
You see, they were gathering the best of the best, and you know who else was a part of it? Dr. Ursula Hoffman, whose group is named Mad Scientist whenever you click on Isby or Hoffman or even... well, what's his face? He's not really all that important. But over by the bio lab, it was important to keep the people of Fairfield weak so they would starve. You know, and the best way to do that is just don't feed them, let them be weak, so they couldn't really fight back or do anything. And those who did fight back, well, they were shot. Those that the cure didn't work on were shot. Which is why there are so many bodies around the bio lab. And what they do was take blood from the chopped up zombie, well, the plague zombie, and give it to a survivor. And we know now that it takes 10 minutes for the plague to take over, but not to us, the survivors, but the NPC survivor, which means that 10 minutes of coming into contact with them is the real time it takes for the blood plague to take effect. But how do we get plague hearts? You see, the virus was still going on. The military didn't do a proper protocol and make sure that no one was running a fever already. They was just giving out shots and locking them in cages for 10 minutes to see who had turned or would be cured. But this was their mistake, because due to the failed procedures, they ended up giving blood plague to survivors that was already carrying the black fever virus. And because of this, the blood plague started to enhance the virus, thus increasing the body temperature and fever and causing the body to give off an unusual amount of heat. Hence why blood plague zones, your character says they give off heat because of the plague mixing with the virus. Now when this happens, the survivors started to fuse together due to the heat they was giving off, which and became one mind and one heart. This is why you see multiple skulls and rib cages on plague hearts, because those who had the virus was fused together, and also why you see them on all maps, because the plague heart started to spread the plague all over, and those who had the virus was also fusing with others who had the virus, thus creating more. But to understand them, let's talk about how they was able to get a plague zone. You see, the plague hearts can think and feel as it's multiple people in one. Also, they can sleep. But also, like Vecna from Stranger Things, in the Upside Down, he can feel everything he is connected to, and so can everything else a part of the Upside Down. This is how the plague heart works. If you kill too many zombies, you awaken. And if you never show up, well, it will call Bloater and Screamer and some zombies to go and start causing infestations, all in order to find you. If you attack it, it will cry out in pain and call its protector, which is feral. And not only that, the plague hearts have the ability to evolve the freaks. Don't believe me? Well, look at all the freaks they infected with the virus and then caught blood plague. Now, I'm not saying that the freaks were personally injected with the virus and then blood plague. No, I'm saying that they already had the virus, but now they were infected with blood plague. But why is that only feral had seemed to evolve and the others left the same? Well, that's because, as I said before, feral is its protector, and to make sure that feral can do its job, it took away feral's sight and replaced its skull with armor, so feral can have a high sense of smell and awareness, which is also why if you use scent block, no other freak can detect you no matter how close you get, but feral can, and it's because of the plague heart giving him a higher sense of smell and awareness, which is how he can find you if you are close to him. This shows that the blood plague can increase things, even a already existing virus, but no one knew, not even Dantron Industry knew it can create plague hearts. And this is essentially why the government went into hiding, because once plague hearts started to pop up, government just started losing control. So now you got the black fever virus taking over, and now you also have blood plague going wild, and you now have plague hearts that are inhabiting these other areas, maps, and creating their own zones with their very own protectors. And if you somehow manage to be killing too many zombies, well, it's gonna start calling in some people to start searching for you. But what do you all think? Do you agree with my take? Do you think Undead Labs will give us more information on Dantron Industries down the road? Well, let me know down in the comment section below, and I will talk to you all later.